So the UFC has been the most popular and successful MMA organization in the world, and that is thanks to its consistent pool of top flight fighters throughout the last 3 decades. Spanning from Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture, to GSP and Anderson Silva, to today's age of dominant champions with guys like Alexandre Pantoja, and of course Islam Makhachev as well. But these fighters didn't just magically appear and dominate the sport. Whether it was in the UFC or not, these champions were prospects at one point in time, and some were never thought to have been the champions they were. But with the talent they had and the discipline they displayed, they secured their legacy. But that all started off with being a small name prospect, but having the skills to make it to the top. So let's look at the next generation of potential UFC champion level talent we have in the UFC already, looking at the best prospect in every division. I am very keen to see how far all of these guys that I list go, because at the moment they are looking absolutely incredible. But before we get into it, I need to disclose that the rule for these prospects is that they must be in their 20s or younger and have had less than 5 fights in the UFC and must not be ranked at the moment, as they are then considered a contender. But when these guys are given the ranked opportunity, I believe any of these guys that I'm about to list will be able to seize that opportunity for the rankings. Now, starting off extremely strong with our highest ranked and most experienced UFC prospect, we have Andre Lima. If you couldn't already tell by the thumbnail, this kid is the literal definition of promising. He has shown a new threat in his game in each fight that he has had, with him only just turning 26 years old as well. So he's got all the time in the world to sharpen all the tools that he already has. And he's currently undefeated at 11-0 and is currently 4-0 in the UFC with a Dana White's Contender Series win on top of that. And he's 5-0 with KOs as a Brazilian champion level kickboxer, showing he is extremely technical, extremely accurate, and most importantly, the guy is extremely composed. He has not even broken a sweat in his career yet, and it is hard to make that happen because he's not only dangerous with the tools on the feet, he's greatly improved his game from his Dana White's Contender Series fight to his most recent fight, especially in the wrestling and the grappling department. He completely out-wrestled and out-transitioned Felipe dos Santos, who has the experience of fighting someone like Manel Kape, who is ranked. Manel Kape struggled more against Felipe than Andre did. And not to mention, he just submitted Daniel Bareth last week, absolutely mincing him in the exchanges over the 3 rounds and then submitting him in the 3rd round. And this is all in combination with the size of the guy. He is fucking huge for flyweight, which could be a weight cut concern moving forward, as he's missed weight once against Mitch Raposo. However, after that, made weight cleanly against Bareth. So whether his time in flyweight is going to be short or not, he is a killer for both 125 and 135 pounds, as he's very physically strong and knows how to apply the strength in ground and clinch-based exchanges. And he's good at flinging knees up the middle and throwing elbows around the guard, which he showed against Bareth very nicely. And he also utilizes leg kicks as well at range. I mean, he has got all the tools when it comes to offensive weapons on the feet. He's ultimately just offensively sound everywhere. Technically composed striking that can be utilized at any range, and he's got the raw strength there as well in the wrestling and clinch-based exchanges. And even though he only has 1 submission via the rear naked choke against Bareth, he's a BJJ black belt. So with how that sounds, and I mean, looking at the ground game that he's been able to show, there's probably a lot more to come from him when it comes to the ground game. He's just so good with his kickboxing. And even on the popularity over the skill side of things, he was the first guy in the UFC to get bitten so badly by Igor Severino in their fight a couple of fights back. He received a 50K bite of the night bonus from Dana White, and Severino was cut from the UFC because of it. But the best part about that, and why it should be mentioned, is that he got the bite mark fucking tattooed. So it's definitely a unique way to make yourself known. But with that, the popularity side in combination with the actual skill set this guy has, 1 or 2 more wins, seriously, this guy will 100% be ranked. Now, some of you might say that this is bias, but I will say that the bantamweight division at the current time doesn't have like the greatest prospects. I mean, we've literally just had Peyton Talbot and Rinya Nakamura get fraud checked in one card. And then we had Alexander Topuria, who didn't honestly look that impressive in my opinion, to be honest. He is also on the older side anyway, so he's borderline not making this checklist regardless. And ultimately, I will say, if Felipe Lima was at bantamweight instead of featherweight, like he normally is, I would have put him here. But a guy who has looked extremely impressive, who is on a 6-fight win streak, is Australia's own Cody Haddon. Definitely the top prospect out of Australia in the lower weight classes at 26 years old. And granted, he's only had one UFC fight and his Dana White's Contender Series fight as well, which he won both of them convincingly. But up until his last fight against Dan Argueta, he had a 100% finish rate, 5 KOs and 2 submissions, and he now has a record of 8-1. And the only guy he's lost to was Steve Erceg, where he was narrowly out-grappled in rounds 1 and 3 of that fight. But he almost had Erceg out of there in round 2. He was out-wrestling him, out-striking him to the point where he almost chinned him. It was honestly a very close and definitely an entertaining fight. But from what we've seen of him, Cody Haddon has efficient tools everywhere. On the feet, he's got a nice reach at bantamweight at 69 inches, and most notably, the guy is like a mini Jack Della Maddalena out of Perth, just like he is, because his boxing is absolutely incredible. A lot of power in his hands, especially through his hooks that he throws, and is good at consistently pressuring, and is very good at level change combinations. So throwing 3-piece combinations going like high, low, high, or low, high, low. Combining that with fantastic head movement as well offensively. He is just a nightmare in exchanges to hit and not get hit by. And on top of this, he's got really nice outside leg kicks at range, and up close in clinch range, he has good clinch knees and shots to the body in the clinch as well. And not only that, he has decent takedown offense. He's got pretty good offensive outside trips and is very defensively sound with his sprawls and his scrambles. And he is very difficult to keep on the ground, because even Steven Erceg, I mean, he really struggled to actually maintain that position on the ground and keep him there. But on the ground offensively, Haddon is super dangerous. Like seriously, he has a BJJ black belt and he's able to transition very effectively, especially to the back, to hunt rear naked chokes, which is one of his best weapons, and is just incredible with the submission defense. I mean, again, when he fought Erceg, he stifled more than a few of Erceg's attempts to get him out of there with submissions, and he is without a doubt one of Australia's top talents. And I have to say it, Alexandre Topuria was damn lucky Hadn't pulled out of that UFC 312 fight, because honestly, Topuria would not have won that fight. That is just how good Cody Haddon is. No bias here, just genuinely skill for skill. He is seriously impressive. Keep an eye out for him moving forward, trust me. But as I said in bantamweight, if he was fighting in that division, he would be the top prospect there. But moving up and fighting in featherweight, Felipe Lima is the top prospect here as well. It just doesn't matter what weight class this guy is in, he is that damn good. Now, don't get me wrong, a close second is definitely Kevin Vallejos, being labeled as, you know, the Argentinian Topuria with that level of boxing at his age is extremely impressive. But Felipe Lima is more proven as a prospect at the moment. He's 26 years old and has only lost once in his very first pro fight by submission, but is now on a 14-fight win streak with a record of 14-1. So he is the definition of momentum, and beating both Muhammad Naimov and Miles John with ease. He is not fighting cans at the moment, that is for sure. And this guy is very well rounded. He is one of the fastest strikers, being very light on the feet, using nice linear and lateral movement to dart in and out of exchanges. But when he is in them, God, does he have some fast dynamic striking. He mixes in feints very well, using jabs, flying knees, 3-piece boxing combinations, and has a very vicious uppercut and very good timing on his shots as well as really being able to accumulate body shots too. He's showed literally All of this against a 6-fight win streak Muhammad Naimov on short notice, upper division, and then just goes and submits him with a gable grip rear naked choke against the cage in the 3rd round. And he is able to do that so effectively thanks to not only being fast on the feet, but is also fast to enter on his takedowns. And when it gets to the ground, the speed in his transitions is also an absolute nightmare to deal with. And to tie a bow on it, his cardio is absolutely insane. He went 5 rounds in his last title fight against Jonas Margaard in Octagon MMA, and his pace basically didn't slow down at all. And he was the aggressor for pretty much the entire 25 minutes. He has got all the technical abilities in combination with the physical advantages in the cardio and the speed. He is seriously not showing any holes in his game. And at 26 years old, he has got all the time to somehow improve what he's already got. Now, just like Bantamweight, lightweight was a hard pick, and granted, there's been a lot of inactivity with this guy, but at 24 years old, being undefeated at 10-0, with the wrestling and pure control-based game Nurullo Aliev has, it's hard not to put him as the top prospect at the moment. If Nurullo Aliev can maintain consistency, he can make it very far. He has been out for so long with strings of injuries. He's literally out of UFC 295 against Mateusz Rebecki with a leg injury, but coming back into the cage finally as the very first fight of 2025, he completely outworked Joe Solecki, especially showing great improvements on the feet. He was hitting nice 3-piece combinations, mixing up the hooks and the overhands very well, but where he absolutely shines is the wrestling. He has the suffocating, like Khabib-esque wrestling style to control and drown his opponent, which he was able to do against Rafael Alves back at 22 years old. And that guy was a veteran, and he's very good at maintaining top control. But to get it to that point, he has very nice timing on his double legs. And on the flip side, on the ground, which he showed against Solecki, he's very defensively aware of submission attempts. And if he continues to round out the striking that he has with that level of wrestling, as well as that defensive IQ, and possibly implementing some form of submission game, I mean, he is one of the youngest on the roster, and he can definitely go far because he's just got more room to grow. Now, in contrast, welterweight has been looking promising at the moment, with Jonathan Mikulev winning at UFC 312 and Jacoby Smith absolutely destroying Preston Parsons at the start of the year. But they are coming in a close 3rd and 2nd place through Dana White's Contender Series. So got to give another Dana White's Contender Series alum the #1 spot, who has a bit more experience under his belt. And that's the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott. And I was skeptical at first, but this bloke amazes me in new ways with every single performance he has. He's on an 8-fight win streak at the moment and is 12-2 with his career record overall, and is obviously undefeated in the UFC. But Elliott has gone from this wrestler with a bit of a submission game to this very confident and improved striker who is not worried about getting taken down. He's not worried about letting his hands go or not, because he's built the foundation on the ground where if he gets taken down, I mean, he's got good transitions off his back and the ability to submit, of course, as well. But I don't know if we even need to talk about that, as he has displayed that it's borderline bloody impossible to take him down in the first place, which he showed against Preston Parsons, absolutely nullifying the best part of his game, which is the wrestling. But when he gets it to the ground, he's got great offensive control, especially on top and controlling the back. And with these skills already on the ground and the striking display he showed against Basil Hafez in his last fight, which Hafez is someone who almost bloody beat JDM, Oban Elliott just tore him apart. Used really nice lateral movement and is really packed on the bodywork with the kicks and checking with the hooks as well, and was circling out well when it came to Basil Hafez coming forward. Very good at timing when he should come forward and when he should go back. And I mean, perfectly timing the right hook in that 3rd round. It just absolutely chinned him. It's seriously great to see Wales have a spearhead in the MMA scene with the way Oban Elliott has been consistently improving and rounding out this game. I think Wales is in safe hands. Now, middleweight is a bit easier because this bloody bulldozer sticks out like a sore thumb. Mansur Abdul-Malik is an absolute freak of nature. He is currently 8-0 with a 100% finish rate, being 2 fights into the UFC and having 1 Dana White's Contender Series fight. He has looked absolutely unstoppable. Literally next to Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis, he would honestly have to be the strongest in the entire division. And so far, he does not have any holes in his game. And he without a doubt has the KO power, as 7 out of 8 of his wins are by KO, and he lands at over 5 significant strikes per minute. So he's got the volume along with the power there, and he has the offensive wrestling there as well to literally throw his opponent halfway across the damn octagon, and he just runs through the takedown defensive fighters he's faced using pure strength. In his last fight against Kline, he literally threw him off his base and just ground and pounded him out. He is super explosive against the cage, mixes up the wrestling and the dirty boxing very well, which are all enhanced by that strength that he has. And you can't forget to mention, Mansur trains out of Extreme Couture with Eric Nixick, and that allows him to have no shortage of 185-pound training partners like your Sean Strickland's and your Chris Curtis's, and that just assists even more with the striking, where he is really applying a boxing-heavy game when you got guys like Curtis and Strickland. And ultimately, this guy is a prospect that I can seriously see becoming a champion in a few years. He's showing no weaknesses, really, and he's got the power and strength, the volume, he's got the wrestling, and he does have a guillotine on his record too, so we haven't seen much of his ground game, but good luck getting him there unless you're knocking him down. But aside from that, I mean, he is a very, very difficult puzzle to solve, and seriously, just good luck to his next opponent. Now, looking at the heavier divisions, we cannot go wrong with an athletic threat that has got a good submission arsenal, KO power on the feet, and good wrestling. Oumar C is definitely the light heavyweight prospect to look out for. Now, I would have obviously said Zhang Mingyang, but he's really now solidifying himself as an actual true contender, as he now has a fight booked in the rankings against Anthony Smith. But Oumar C is right behind him with the talent that he has. Oumar C is not only well-rounded with being 4-0 with both KOs and submissions, but he's undefeated at 11-0 and is extremely athletically gifted. He holds a 83-inch reach, which is the longest in the division since John Jones left, and he has looked promising in his 2 UFC fights so far, absolutely schooling Tuko Tokos in the first round, submitting him with a rear naked choke, which he has now hit every single submission by a rear naked choke, and that's thanks to his ability to wrestle and utilize wrist control on the ground to break the frame of the opponent, and then effectively outspeed them in the transitions to take their back and then choke them out, as light heavyweights just don't have the grappling threat for him to really worry about, to be honest. And on top of that, he has very nasty ground and pound, and his ability to use those wrestling transitions on top, and even defensively as well. I mean, offensively, defensively, he is looking good. Defensively, he's shown very good reversals on the regional scene, but even before it gets there, his striking is what we need to talk about as well. His striking is very clean, especially for his experience level. He utilizes a very nice stiff jab that he picked Dawoon Jung apart with in his last fight, and proved that he could effectively work for 3 rounds, which is really good to see. Ultimately, I mean, he's got tools everywhere, and with a bit more experience and the time to sharpen those tools, especially with the striking, he is going to be a serious problem that will hit the rankings. Now, as we know, heavyweight is a shallow division, but we have 2 clear young prospects that we can't go wrong with either way. Being 27-year-old Mario Pinto out of Portugal, he has very crisp boxing and is extremely calm under pressure. And then the guy who is even younger at 25 years old, but is an absolute behemoth at 6'7", being Tallison Teixeira. This guy has got a 100% finish rate, just took out Justin Tafa in 30 seconds on his debut, literally in Tafa's home ground, and he is looking scary. I mean, granted, we'll probably get into the rankings real quick, so could say that he is technically a contender now, but we can't do anything about the shallow heavyweight division. But just like Mansur Abdul-Malik at middleweight, Tallison is 8-0. He's got 7 KOs and 1 submission, and the difference is, all of these are in the first round. He has never gone out of the first round before, and he's got very, very fast hands for heavyweight and doesn't have to use the reach all the time as well. 83-inch reach, you can't really, you know, argue with that anyway. But that being said, when he's up close, he's got very nice clinch knees and clinch elbows. I mean, ask Justin Tafa about that, my lord. Being able to take out a guy like Justin Tafa, who has that experience at only 25 years old, is absolutely incredible, because heavyweight has the highest longevity out of every division. So this guy could have, like, you know, 10 plus years in the game if CTE doesn't catch up to him and makes him a sponge. But with the 10 years that he possibly has, and being 25, with the physical attributes and, I mean, just the momentum he has, I mean, he looked fantastic. I mean, the only thing I can pick apart is not the greatest head movement, which his height is a bit of an issue in that sense, but the more he grows, the better chance he has of correcting that mistake anyway. And without it, I mean, the guy is ready for the rankings without a doubt. Now, moving on to the women's divisions, and thank God she made the choice to move down, because Fatima Kline is now in the right division to move up quickly. Because at flyweight, she was outworked by Jasmine Jasudavicius. She just got out-muscled. That was her debut. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, Jasmine Jasudavicius is a lot bigger, and she is obviously looking fantastic at flyweight. But with Fatima Kline coming down to strawweight and making that debut in the UFC, she looked fantastic against Victoria Dudikova, and she is only 24 years old. And I mean, you look at that, was offered a top 15 fight straight off the bat at flyweight, which now she has moved down to her natural division, where she is just definitely going to be able to put in the work. I mean, she has some of the cleanest boxing and Muay Thai outside the rankings easily, and realistically in that top 10 as well. And she has fantastic timing on those strikes, with great combinations that she lands thanks to the hand speed she has, and with the accuracy and power to go along with it. And she has a record of 7-1, has 3 KO victories, where she just pieced up her opposition on the regional scene, as well as Victoria Dudikova literally in her last fight, and has 1 submission win, which, with the help of Erin Blanchfield being her main training partner, I don't think we have many concerns at all with her in the grappling department, as long as she isn't getting out-muscled, which just isn't going to be happening at strawweight. But between the striking and the grappling, she has shown that she can time her strikes in combination with her takedown entries after finishing a combination on the feet very well throughout the regional scene. And when it gets there, she's got very nice, precise ground and pound. And ultimately, removing the strength issue from moving back to her natural weight class, I just don't see many, if any, weaknesses in her game, and it's just a matter of time before she hits that top 15. So even though she's had a lot of split decisions, Ernesta Kareckaite is definitely someone you want to look out for. The one fight she lost against Dione Barbosa, that should have gone her way, to be honest. She was landing much more volume, and ultimately that would make her undefeated. However, she is 6-1-1, but she's a unique physical threat with the crazy length, having a 71-inch reach, and is 5'9" tall, which is just a massive frame for a flyweight. I mean, as well as a bantamweight, realistically. With that, she's got the durability, she's got the stamina and the output to make every fight just entertaining. And she's been consistently improving her game. She took Carly Giudice to a split decision, which was super entertaining, and won that fight. And Carly Giudice literally just head kick KO'd her opponent in the first round last weekend. And in their fight, Kareckaite landed over 200 total strikes, so her output is dumb and her cardio just does not wilt at all. But most importantly, since that Giudice fight, she has been showing consistent improvements with the forward pressure while using tighter and more accurate combinations, and she knows how to use the 1-2s effectively with her range advantage. But along with that, she has shown great sprawling capabilities, defensive transitions and get-ups since her time on the regional scene. And with those physical advantages, you can't blame her that she wants to strike. So if she maintains the consistency of her ground game improvements defensively and continues to tighten up that striking like she's doing, she's definitely going to be a threat to the rankings moving forward. Now, moving on to the bantamweight women's divisions, and I am keen for this one. Drum roll, please. We have absolutely no one. I have absolutely no one that I could put in here. I've had a decent look, but I can't find anyone that fits in the category for a prospect in bantamweight. They're either like Priscilla Cachoeira, who's just moved up and had a great KO the other weekend, but she's 36 years old, so not really a prospect, let's be honest here. And I mean, I haven't found anyone else. So if you care, please do leave a comment below as to who actually could be in here if I've missed someone. But with that, I hope you enjoyed today's hot take video, and please like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way for the channel, and I will leave a video up on the screen for you guys to check out, and I will catch you in the next one.